I think that if you want to be a truthful commentator, you should let your messaging be clear. But what is comedy?
All right, hold on real quick. How many slides is this?
27, but I'll be quick. But the core of my argument, Paul, is not that I'm an anti-fan or that I'm against you in some way. I watch your content because I do like you. I do think you have it. I do think you're good at patternization, especially in your video essays, your long-form content. I think you do a really good job. Not everyone excels at every form of comedy. Some comedy takes work. And if you are not clear with your messaging, let's take an example.
All right, here we go. Wrong. I disagree with you. I do not need to be clear on my messaging anymore. I do not need to be. Comedy is a form of art. Okay, so this is a philosophy of art discussion. Okay, not just comedy. The more explicit you make a message, the more propagandized it is. If I make, for example, this is the classic problem with conservative art, quote unquote, conservative movies, is it's explicitly, self-consciously, self-referentially conservative. And that's why you need to have patriotism, Bill, because that's what saved the day. It's like, that's ridiculous, right? The human condition is deeply complex and gray. And so art and comedy should reflect that. That's what meta irony is like, sometimes I say things, sometimes I make, I don't know what my positions are on a lot of things. You know, for example, I think from that conversation with JJ, we talked about Irish nationalism. Is it totally fine to support white Irish people saying Ireland for the Irish? Just as is it okay for Japan to say I want Japan for the Japanese? I don't actually. I think yeah. Although I'm an American, so I'm kind of like fuck ethnocentrism in general. But I'm also not like an Irish person in Ireland. Also, what makes an Irish? These are all complicated questions. So I want to make jokes about like, I don't know. I'm not a good enough performing monkey to come up with an Irish joke on the spot. But like, if I'm going to use like ironic humor of like, well, wait, hold on. Does Paul support Irish nationalism, or is he making fun of it there? It's like, the meta irony is reflective of a genuine, split in my mind of like, I don't know what I believe. Part of me feels this way. Part of me feels that way. So the idea that because I'm not clear to you or my message is obfuscated, it's like, why are you assuming that I know what I believe? Like the humor is me attempting to work it out. And so in some sense, that's the clearest I can be.
My broader point is that there is not a right way to do comedy. Obviously, it is an art and not a science. Okay. I am not a math person, but I do have kind of a math brain. I mean that in
You're autistic.
I probably got a touch of autism. I won't lie about it.
Takes one to know one, sir.
But when I got into improv comedy, what made me stick with it was realizing that there are formulas. It's not just you go out there and you don't play by the rules and you say whatever you want to. That's not funny. It doesn't work that way.
Music theory is real, but music fundamentally is vibe space at the end of the day. But yes, go ahead.
But while there's not a right or a wrong way necessarily, I do believe that you can increase your hit rate. And I think that increasing your hit rate comes back to those core elements of comedy I'm describing here. What I think would serve you well as a comedian is to understand your own messaging, even if you want to have some kind of ironic take. I don't understand how you feel you can have a take if you do not understand your own jokes.
I can absolutely have a take if I don't understand my own jokes. First of all, I don't not understand my own jokes. What do you think of J-Reg? Do you know who J-Reg is?
Yeah, I've seen a little bit.
Would you leverage the same criticism against him as you're leveraging against me?
Frankly, I don't know him quite well enough to say.
Okay. Because here's what I think. I think that you don't like the style of comedy, and this is an entirely subjective matter of taste, which is perfectly reasonable.
That's true at all. I just spent time telling you that I do think you're funny.
Yeah, but you're assuming you know what you're assuming. You said, Paul, I think you would be more successful if you did X, Y, and Z. It's like, by what metric are you measuring success?
Well, I was about to break it down in my PowerPoint. You skipped through. Here's the thing.
Well, thank you. I saved everyone time. You're welcome. Go ahead.
Let's talk about Zog. Okay. Has anybody talked to you about that yet?
About what? Zog?
Yeah, and your attempt to co-opt
the magical dragon. Did you not see my apology video?
I didn't see it.
Okay, well, I already talked about this. I said
maybe I saw it. Here's the thing. You are trying to add another meaning to a dog whistle phrase.
No. I'm done with this.
Oh.
I've abandoned the Zong hill. I still say Zog every now and then in the same way that I make racist jokes of all kinds. But I am, precisely to your point, the idea that I would like autistically go on this mission of like, well, I'm going to go, reappropriate this meme and then I'm going to explain to everyone what I'm doing. And then that way all the people, all these, and then I'll get a bunch of like Nazis and anti-Semites to come listen to me and then I can convert them. It's like, that's ridiculous. I'll say Zog every now and then as a joke or to reference like, oh, Israel's taking us to war. Zog strikes again. But I'm not going to make it a mission to be like, let me reappropriate this meme. It's funny, but that's an example of you don't explain a joke. If a joke is funny to 50% of people, it doesn't matter how accurately your explanation of why it's funny to 50% of people it is. The other 50% are not going to laugh. So I don't talk about Zog anymore. Zog is just a funny 3-letter acronym that sounds like Evil Emperor Zurg that I use to refer to the degree that Israel basically owns U.S. foreign policy. Although Donald J. Trump seems to be fucking bucking that trend, so Zog is on the Zog. Dude, Trump is going to slay Evil Emperor Zog, and it seems like it'll be great. So, but I agree. Trying to autistically recapture a term is stupid.
So you don't want to talk about what you actually believe in the terms of
No. Are you asking me what I actually believe or what I...
Yeah.
Okay, ask me what I honestly believe.
How do you feel about Trump?
About Donald Trump?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how do you feel about Trump's second presidency, to be clear?
I would call him fascist if that word was not fucking overused and abused by libtards such as yourself.
Have I used that word yet?
I said such as yourself.
Okay. You almost got me there.
Almost.
Yeah, so do you think that voting for Kamala Harris would have been a better choice?
No,
pragmatically?
because I live in Texas and my vote doesn't matter because we have an electoral college.
Your vote doesn't matter because you're in Texas, a state that has... There's been talks of it possibly going purple for a while now, right? Doesn't it seem like it would matter in that case?
Yeah, there were talks about the Earth freezing over in 1980 when Leonard Nimoy narrated that thing, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore.
I think my broader point is that it just helps to take a step back and do some critical thinking.
Well, let me say this, because you seem to imply that I I hide behind irony and I never honestly engage and talk about virtually all of my conversations with people like for example, FD Signifier or CJ the X or Andrew Wilson. It's like, I don't hide behind irony. I say very clearly what I believe. And then when I'm doing other videos and I shitpost and whatnot, and I'm doing more funny stuff, then sure, I make jokes. But I say very clearly what I believe. Like Donald Trump, I think is a fucking, I don't know, evil is a strong word, but the Gaza AI video or whatever, it's like that's Hitlerite. That's what, like that's how people became cool with genocide.
Pulling funding from Ukraine, deporting
jokes.
People illegally.
I don't know enough about. I
don't know enough about it. Yeah, that's a pretty classic response too. That is not hiding behind.
So be quiet.
Humor.
So stop.
On
Ukraine, I've said explicitly, I don't know enough about this to argue with people about my position. My position is I have yet to hear a good argument for why we should be constantly escalating war with Russia. I've listened to a lot of arguments. I don't find them convincing. That doesn't mean that I'm correct. It means I haven't heard any convincing arguments. And I'm not in the business of explaining to people why I believe certain things. It's like evolution. I believe in evolution. I'll never debate evolution. I don't know how to debate evolution. I take it for granted and I believe it strongly. But it's not, I'm not responsible. Do you believe in evolution?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you debate it?
I think I could say 5 things I know about any given topic. This is another thing that's kind of important to me as a
hold on.
Yeah.
But to the point, you agree that I'm not obligated to debate. If I believe something, I'm not obligated to have to be able to successfully debate for it. I can just tell people what I believe. Hey, I believe the Earth is round. Now, I really don't know any of the experiment. I mean, I get like the very, the curvature of the Earth. If you look at a ship coming from the, I know it's like 2-3 things about it. But if someone has spent their life being a flat earther, I'm not going to fucking debate that person. I'll go, hey, I believe the earth is round, and you can tell me why you think the earth is flat, but I don't know enough to debate this or whatnot, but I do believe the earth is round. And people say, well, hold on. Why would you believe something that you're not willing, that you can't defend in a debate? It's like, because for a variety of reasons, because I outsource most of my knowledge, just like you and everyone watching this does. We outsource most of our knowledge. Like, well, why do I believe my positions on Ukraine? Because John Mearsheimer, I have never heard anyone, in my opinion, sufficiently address any of his points. I don't even think Destiny has even mentioned John Mearsheimer, who I regard as the single most level-headed person making the case against supporting Ukraine. So your problem, so unless you can, if someone wants to convince me to be anti or for pro-Ukraine, well, they should debate John Mearsheimer and have the discussion.
Well, I don't know who he is, and I'm talking to you right now.
Well, there you go. Okay, that's my point. Well, okay, fine. But you understand from my perspective that you don't know, you haven't even attempted to go find the best arguments for not supporting Ukraine. You're just coming to me and saying, that. Paul, you don't know who John Mearsheimer is. So
I know that Ukraine is an ally of the United States that was attacked by another nation, and we have an obligation to support them.
Okay. Well, this is my point. So I'm willing to engage in this with you. And like you said, Ukraine is an ally of the United States. It's like, are we? What military treaties do we have with them? They're not part of NATO. The Budapest Memorandum, not a binding treaty. Okay, now, and then we get into all this different shit. It's like, I'm less interested in Ukraine. I'm willing to say that I won't make any videos saying, here's why you should be against Ukraine. If someone asks me, I will tell them what I honestly believe. And I'll give them the reasons why. Because people like John Mearsheimer make far more of a compelling case than people like Destiny. Which is not always true on other things. I think Destiny makes a very compelling case on a lot of issues that conservatives don't, or whatever.
I think we're leaning on these perceived experts a little heavily, these influencer type people who are talking about this stuff. I don't know why they're
I agree. Yeah.
The ones we should listen to all the time.
I agree. Yeah. No, now you're scratching my itch. Well, that's good.
I also don't understand why you're so insistent on taking super strong takes and stances like I support evolution, but I don't want to do any research on it or think about it. I just accept that it's true. Why don't you want to look into these things? It feels like a cover for centrism, which feels like a cover to me.
I hate centrism is disgusting. Don't you ever call me a centrist.
It comes off.
I'm a radical centrist.
Meaning what?
Meaning I hate the status quo, the neoliberal status quo.
Why?
Hold on, let's go back to your other point. What did you just say? It feels like I'm willing to take a strong stance on evolution. Saying I believe in evolution is not a strong stance. It's an honest articulation of what I genuinely believe. I don't know how to tell you this. I do genuinely believe in the theory of evolution. I do genuinely believe the earth is round.
Yeah, sure. I
haven't looked into it at all.
I don't think you know anything about it.
Correct. I could not tell you even like the most bare minimum of why the scientific argument for why the earth is round. You know why I believe the earth is round? Because virtually all of the intelligent people that I regard as having reasonable takes on everything else agree the earth is round. It's the same reason I trust my doctor. Why do I believe Tylenol won't kill me? Because it's the fucking FDA. The FDA regulates it. My doctor prescribes it or whatever, or suggests I take it. It's like almost all of the information we have is outsourced to other people. And you're saying, well, you can't say that you believe something unless you can mount a effective defense for it. It's like, nope, fuck that. I'll tell you what I honestly believe to be true because I think that's more productive in the long run. And then people watching, because then that gives people watching to go, all right, well, this PF Young guy's a fucking idiot. He doesn't even know why evolution's true, and yet he believes it. I go, okay, well, good. I've now given my audience the ability to better evaluate whether or not they should trust anything I'm saying.
I think when you get into like ethno-nationalist argument, or you're like talking about races of people and you don't understand biological anthropology, that's tricky territory.
Well, okay, in what context are you talking about?
Just like, I mean, the Zog stuff comes to mind, but like, it feels like you do a lot. You were even talking about how good that Hail Hitler song is. Like,
the song is objectively catchy.
Why are you listening to it? Why are you listening to Kanye's Hitler
song? Suck my
song?
dick. I don't, fuck you. Because it's a fucking artistic. Why? Well, I don't know. Because it's like the number one fucking like artist in history in the most controversial position, talking about the most controversial issue that's at the forefront of everyone's fucking social media feeds. Why am I listening to it?
Do you still like Kanye?
I never liked Kanye. Kanye's a degenerate. He parades his naked wife out.
Yeah, well, I think they're getting a divorce now. I don't think she liked that very much.
Yeah, good for her.
Okay, so I'm just trying to.
So what have you done? You are right now. Right now, what's happened is, right now, I would say we're at the point in the Battle of Helm's Deep where you just tried to see you sieged the walls. You had your PowerPoint presentation. That was your mind. You blew open the wall with 27 slides. But at this point, the Rohirrim have come down and have slowly just trampled most of your forces, and you're on your back foot now.
I don't think I've been trampled at all. I think I think Gandalf's about to show up.
All right, hit me.
No, I think we're at a little bit of an impasse, to be honest,
say so
because I don't think you're willing to actually consider what I want to talk about. I think you come off as incurious sometimes, and I think curiosity is a good trait for a comedian to have, even if it's internal. You don't have to verbalize everything that you're thinking about.
Sure. My one of the reasons, for example, like using humor as a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate to respond with an equivalent level of seriousness when someone makes a criticism. So if someone says, "Holy shit, Paul, you're literally just a far right fucking racist," that's an unserious critique.
Why?
Right? Like because they didn't take the time to say, "Hey, Paul, you said this about this, but you also said here's a contradiction in what you said. You said this, but this is actually wrong. Here are the reasons for it. It's just you're a fucking idiot." So if someone says you're a fucking idiot, that's an unserious critique. And I'm in my opinion, I'm entitled to respond with an equal level of unseriousness. And there's a scale. And if someone takes the time, and this happens all the time, if someone takes the time to, like, especially email, write out like, "Hey, Paul, I'm a fan of yours. I really enjoyed your stuff, but it's concerned me that you said this, this, and this, so blah, 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 and all these different things." I take the time to listen to that and respond to that because I can tell it's not coming from just that's not an unserious critique. But there's a spectrum. Well thought out, genuine critique coming from a good place, literally just calling me a fucking idiot. And I respond with the equivalent level of seriousness that's made. And what you're saying here is sort of closer to the spectrum of, you're saying, I disagree. I have a philosophy of comedy that I think is correct, and you do not abide by it, and I don't like that. And I go, okay, well, there is literally just you said, we're at an impasse. Like, it's possible that there's literally just a perceptual difference between you and I in terms of how you perceive the world and how I perceive the world that we're not going to hash out in the next 10 minutes, which is how much time I can give you before we move on to my boy TP.
Sure. Which is fair, but for the record, you didn't really engage with my serious critique.
Ask me a very direct question about a topic and ask me a stance that I have, and I will answer you as honestly as I can.
I want to go through my PowerPoint, but I'll ask a question. Let me see what I got here. Okay, so you're really done with the Zog thing. I do think I watched your apology video, but even then, I'm like not always sure if you're even joking about being done with it or not. Because wasn't your next video a discussion about anti-Semitism with that guy?
A discussion about anti-Zionism.
Yeah. Okay.
A Jewish anti-Zionist. Yeah.
So how serious were you being when you said that you weren't going to talk about that anymore?
You don't. Okay, this is my point. This is an unserious criticism from you.
I mean, this isn't what.
Who did I? Who did I? Okay, I'm giving you the. You have. Okay, ask me whatever you want to ask me, and I will give you the clear. Okay, and now you're saying I don't want to talk about it. So, do you want to ask me about Zog or ask me something else? Pick a topic. I will tell you my stance on it.
Do you think that the Babylon Bee is truthful?
Do I think that the Babylon Bee is truthful? When
you look at their headlines, and do they make you laugh? First off, I'm curious about that.
I don't know. Every 10th one I see, I might chuckle out loud.
Do you laugh more at the Onion headlines?
I think I laugh more at the Onion. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that. Here's one of my bigger points. And I think you should look at both of those. In fact, why don't I just pull up a little slide I have here?
All right. We'll go back to the deck.
This is the only.
You're welcome to come on in the future too, and we can go through the other slides.
All right.
Go
I
ahead.
have examples of Onion and Babylon Bee claims here.
Okay.
The Onion headline. You want to read it?
No, you can read it.
Man ashamed of himself after cashier reads food order back to him. That's a headline. Pretty funny on its
yes,
face.
universal,
right?
non-propagandistic.
Yeah, non-propagandistic. Guy orders too much food. It's embarrassing.
It speaks to a very archetypal human experience, which is embarrassed by the consequence of our own poor decisions.
Correct. Right. Great analysis, Paul.
Yes,
now
archetypal.
let's take a look at the Babylon Bee. This is one that really popped off in this last week. Bad timing. Kilmar Abrego Garcia honored with MS-13 Employee of the Month award.
Yeah, propaganda.
What is the joke there, Paul? On its face, what's the joke?
I don't know. You tell me.
The joke is that there's probably more circumstantial evidence that this guy is bad, so it's okay that he was deported.
Right. This is propaganda. This is not.
Do you notice
not archetypal humor?
You notice on his hand in the picture how there's no tattoos on it? Doesn't that feel like the kind of thing I'd want to put on if they're?
Yeah. See, this is another reason I don't take.
Clear.
This is another reason I don't take criticism from people like you that seriously.
Why?
Because I already know that Trump is a lying fucking moron who lied about him having MS-13 on his knuckles.
Then why won't you say Kamala was better?
Because it's too early to tell.
How is it too early to tell? It's been 100 years. He's tanking the economy. He's illegally deporting people. He's violating the Constitution. This is like obvious.
Let me tell you a story.
Literal stuff I'm saying.
Let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
Richard Nixon. No, I'll tell you a story directly, exactly at this point. Richard Nixon was a history buff. And he was the first president to go to China and meet Chairman Mao. I think. Was it Deng Xiaoping at that point? No, I think it was Mao. Whatever. Point is, Richard Nixon goes to China. He's the first president. There's a lot of tension in the room. Right? This is a big deal. China-U.S. relations. And he's like, all right, I got to figure out a way to break the ice with Chairman Mao. And Chairman Mao's a history buff, and Richard Nixon's a history buff. And so Richard Nixon thinks, hey, Mao, just out of curiosity, what do you think about the Battle of Waterloo? Battle of Waterloo, I believe Napoleon was defeated at Waterloo by Duke of Wellington or some shit like that.
Yeah, and your point is?
And you know what Mao said?
What?
It's too early to tell. Now, Waterloo was 250 years ago because there are different perspectives you can take on history. And the idea that we can evaluate, for example, the effects of Trump's tariffs, the global realignment of the economy, making new trade deals, so on and so forth, the idea that we can evaluate that now and not 20 years from now, it's a sign of ignorance that I don't take seriously.
Do you agree that Trump's tariffs don't work in the way he seems to think they do? That the economy
I don't know what
is not set up to take over all the manufacturing that he wants to claim it does?
How many trade deals have been made? We just signed a trade deal with the UK and India as well?
Why do you take that at surface level?
Well, hold on, wait. That's
what true? They claim.
That what? A trade deal was signed?
Trump also said that he ended the India-Pakistan war last night.
Did the U.S. sign a trade deal with the UK? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So is it good or bad?
It remains to be seen.
Oh my God! It's almost like it's too early to tell.
But Trump.
I wouldn't say. And if a Trump supporter
days ago,
and if a Trump supporter came, yeah, okay, 100 days is a fucking blink of an eye. If a Trump supporter came on,
there are no ships in the ports in Seattle or California right now.
If a Trump good, less climate change. If a Trump supporter came on and said, when will you admit that Trump is a great president and the tariffs were a great idea? I'll go. I'd say the same fucking thing. I'd go, it's too early to tell, little MAGA child.
Is it?
And I will say, you know the other thing too. You know what the other thing too is, this is an important thing to understand.
Yeah.
Most of my audience is left leaning. If most of my audience was right leaning, I would be shitting on Trump just as much. But nobody can. I am not in the business of repeating things that I think everyone already knows to them because it's boring. Hey guys, Trump is a fucking idiot, and what he's doing in Israel is disgusting. It's like, I'll say that, but like, okay, well now your channel needs to be anti-Trump. It's like, no, it doesn't. I decide what my channel is about, and I think we can just agree to disagree.
Last question.
Go
Do
ahead.
you think that the people he deported illegally should be brought back?
I do. I think Abrego Garcia, the evidence that he was, to be clear, Abrego Garcia should not have been deported. This deportation shit is disgusting and insane.
It's not
I
too
actually
early to tell
I
them.
like the self. Well, you can make predictions, and in the case of Abrego Garcia, it is plenty early to tell. But we're talking. You asked me Trump on the whole, but the Abrego Garcia thing is insane. I actually think the self deportation thing is good. Good. We should have self deportation. And
It
also,
costs
and
$10 billion if everybody took him up on that offer, right? To like take $1,000 and leave the country yourself.
just 10 billion. How much did Doge save?
Like nothing.
40 billion?
They actually cost the government.
Actually,
Doge has been
correct.
terrible.
Well, it's mainly been terrible because Trump, in his idiocy, is passing a budget resolution that doesn't take out any of the things that Doge allegedly found. So he doesn't actually care about doing any of this stuff. But, Trump is a narcissist.
Yeah. Why are you humoring him?
It's
not
good
you, the
because
royal you. Like,
it's
why are we humoring him?
It's good because I think, there's recent reports that say his relationship with Netanyahu is severed. I don't know if that's true. If it turns out to be true, it will be in part because Trump is a narcissist, and that will have been the good thing. Because Kamala and Biden are spineless puppets and did abso-fucking-lutely nothing the entire time Israel was destroying Gaza and committing war crimes. And I have absolutely zero reason to believe that they would have done anything other than pontificate about it and bitch about it. And if Trump ends up, because he's just a narcissist, saying, go fuck yourself, Bibi, we're not going to war with Iran, it's a counterfactual. We won't know what would happen if Kamala.
And then he paves over Gaza and makes it the Riviera of
Exactly.
the West Bank.
It's almost like it's too early to tell. But if you're asking me, do I think that there are at least 15 to 40 million people in the United States who would have been a better president than Donald Trump? I'd say yes, obviously. And I think Trump cultists are disgusting. And if more of them watch this channel, I would be more inclined to tell them exactly why.
What would you tell them?
All the things I just told you. But anyway.
Well, thanks for having me on.
I will say, I respect your competence. I respect that you put time into this, thinking this critique, and you are welcome back to come on again to get to the other half of your PowerPoint. And I will encourage you, I will open it up to anyone, including you. Ask me very directly, what is your stance on this? Or why did you say this? If you want to talk about Zod, we can talk about Zod, but then don't say, well, this isn't what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Fair?
Honestly, I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity, and I didn't mean to say that in any way that I was like cowering from it. I specifically had more general critiques to talk to you about.
That's fair, and I'm okay with general critiques as well, so we can discuss it further.
But I appreciate it, and thank you for having me. And for the record, I'm sorry that I trolled you, just because I know that it's not totally fair to you.
No, do not apologize. This moment would not have happened but for your trolling. And I promise you, I got a lot out of this.
Okay. Well, thank you, Paul.
Godspeed. Let the chips fall where they may.